This fight, I guess, a little different because it's not going down in the pre-fight like it did with Marcus Davis. Can you believe people are still talking about Marcus Davis and the fact that you talk so much trash and that he's still upset?
Well, I didn't think it'd go on this long, to be honest. You know, it was a tactic that I employed in the fight, and it worked. And I thought, to be honest, that people had kind of moved past it, but they really haven't. You know, and people are still talking about it, and Marcus is still angry, and I don't know, it's a weird one, really.
Yeah, it's bizarre, because to me it's part of the fight game, and he fell into it. I mean, he fell into it in the first place when you called him out, and then he actually fell victim to it in the fight.
This fight's different. I mean, you know, Swick's not the kind of guy that would fall for that.
You know Swick, right? You hung out with him. Did you guys go on a tour together in Germany?
Yeah, we did the U.S. Army bases before the Cologne fight, and you know, we spent a couple of days going around the bases, and you know, we got on well. You know, he's a nice guy, and he's very similar to myself. He's a dedicated athlete, and you know, he trains hard, and I don't really have anything bad to say about the guy, to be honest, apart from, you know, Saturday night I'm going to have to put him to sleep.
So does that change you from an edge standpoint? Like, do you like to go into a fight against a guy like Davis who you know you've tweaked, maybe you have a little fire against versus a Swick?
No, not at all. Not at all. I had no problem with Davis. It was just tactical. You know, I mean, it did become quite amusing as the camp went on, but I never had any real animosity to him, apart from, you know, the obvious fact that he was standing in my way of progressing up the rankings, and you know, Mike Swick's in the same position, so I didn't feel any more animosity towards Davis as I do towards Swick. It's, you know, I've got a job to do, and they're the next guy that's in the way.
What do you think of his camp, the American Kickboxing Academy, and the fact that they've got 3 guys with him, Fitch, and Koscheck all at 170? Is it a little overrated, and are we not finding out how good these guys are because they won't fight each other?
I don't know, really. I mean, you know, it's difficult now. Now, obviously, I've got a teammate in the UFC as well, in the same division as Paul Daly. I think the difference is that, you know, myself and Paul have been training together for a long time, you know, 8 years, and you know, and we were training together before we were fighting, so we're quite, you know, we're pretty much. You know, we're pretty much like brothers, whereas those guys they've not been training together for as long. So I don't know. I'm not sure. It must be quite difficult in the camp because they've only been training together for a short period of time in comparison.
Yeah.
And you know, there must be some competition between them, and it must be a little uncomfortable in training, I would imagine.
Would you fight Daly if the UFC said, "Hey, the winner of you guys gets a title shot"?
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't fight him for a title shot. No, I think there's, you know, there's a line that we have to draw, and me and Paul have spoke about it, and there's less benefit in fighting each other, you know, than remaining friends, and you know, it'd just be so much stress separating the camp and things like that. So I think there are plenty of welterweights out there. You know, I mean, obviously 3 AKA guys for a start. There are plenty of welterweights out there for us to fight without having to fight each other. I just don't see it ever being a problem.
So is Paul the main guy you fought with to try to duplicate Swick striking, or have you worked with someone else?
No, I've had a few guys actually. Andre Winner's helped me quite a lot. His hand speed is really, 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 really fast. I can't express how fast his hands are.
Really?
Yeah. Honestly, his hands are ridiculously fast, faster than a lot of the boxers I've sparred with in the past. And well, I'm pretty sure you'll be seeing some of that on Saturday night as well. And I've also been training quite a bit with Nick Shipshack off the show as well. He's come to join the team now. And, you know, and he's quite rangy and quite unorthodox, and he's been good to train with as well. So, you know, I've got a good bunch of guys behind me that don't fight at a high level, that are all, you know, more than capable of pushing me in sparring. So I really feel like I've prepared well, and I've covered all the bases for this one.
How many times have you watched a guy work the mitts and then not be able to, you know, move into the cage and do the same thing, or vice versa? A guy looks awful. Because I'll tell you a personal experience. And I don't know if it was the mitt guy working with him, but I watched Daly for his fight against Campman, and I'm like, he looked awful. And I think when it came down to it, I think it was the mitt guy was screwing him up. He just looked slow and mechanical. And then he goes in there and pounds the crap out of Campman. How many times do you see guys where, you know, like you mentioned a winner, and Andre kind of couldn't get unhinged in his tough finale. How many times does that happen where a guy is kind of, you know, he looks a certain way in the gym, and then it doesn't translate, or he's better than he looks?
I think every fight's either one or the other, personally. I think you're either the guy that looks great in the gym and then can't transfer it over to the octagon, or you're the guy that looks terrible on mitts but manages to turn it on, you know, when the time comes. I mean, I personally feel like I'm the latter of the two, because, you know, my training sessions are never up to the standard of my fights. You know, I always, as soon as I can get in there and know I can hit somebody full power, I have a lot more confidence and a lot more ability, should I say, to land the punches that I want to land, and I think a lot of the guys are like that. I mean, Paul's the same. You know, he's quite methodical in training, and he doesn't throw heavy strikes or anything. But as soon as he gets the opportunity to hit somebody, then he really turns it on.
Well, he was pretty good because Campman, I think, was saying to himself, "Boy, this doesn't hurt," and then all of a sudden it started to hurt, and he got crushed. So, how do you expect Swick to approach this fight? Because Swick has had so many fights where he's gotten a guy early and then just gone in for the kill. Do you think he's going to have to fight more methodical, or is he just going to go with his style and just come charging forward?
I don't know, really. I'm prepared for everything, but I think it's going to be very dangerous for him to come running at me because, you know, you won't run into a cactus, would you, without expecting to get spikes, and that's exactly what the situation is with me. If he runs forward, he's going to get hit with something. And you know, I don't do backing up. I don't do moving away if I don't think I need to, and I don't feel like I need to with Swick. I don't see him be able to push me back. Right. And you know, and if he decides that, you know, that stand-up's too risky and he just decides to take it to the ground, I think he's going to be surprised, along with a lot of people watching as well.